Call to order City of Forest Park Council Meeting Number 1273, June 6, 2016. Let us stand for the pledge, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So now we are officially into the council meeting. Again, thank you, Chief, very much. Appreciate it. As Mr. Hodges has just informed me, so since we do have people, Deputy Chief Hill here, I'm assuming for the next item, the Coach for Life, is that you?
No, actually, he's probably here for.
Oh, you're here for, right, okay,
But
okay.
I think it was Councilman.
Yeah, okay. Councilman Southall, with your permission, we'll do this item at the end of the regular council meeting, okay? Would the clerk please call the roll?
Burns.
Here.
Collins.
Here.
Cottle.
Here.
Herbie.
Here.
Holt.
Here.
Johnson.
Here.
Southall.
Here.
All members are present and accounted for. Go to item number 2, the minutes you should have received in your packet. Yes,
I would make a motion to excuse our law director, John Wyckoff.
sorry.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we excuse the law director, Mr. Wyckoff. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of excusing the law director, let it be known by the sign of voting aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Mr. Wyckoff is excused. Item number 2 is minutes. You've all received a packet of the minutes in your packet. Are there any corrections or additions to the minutes? Hearing now, item number 3, presentations. I have no listed presentations tonight, so we will go to item 4, communications from the public. This is a time for citizens to comment on matters before council or to ask questions of concern to them. When recognized, please come forward to the podium, give your name and address, and then state your comments or questions. Council meetings are tape recorded for ease of transcriptions. Comments are limited to 5 minutes. Anybody from the public want to address council? Chief? Deputy Chief Hill, if you would, just tell us who you are, of course, and just go right ahead.
I'm Jermaine Hill from the Forest Park Fire Department. I want to say hello to Mayor Johnson, City Manager Hodges, and the rest of council. Today, I'm here to invite you to our first ever We Thrive Boot Camp. It's going to be a series of classes, Saturdays, 8:30 to 9:30 in the morning. It'll be at Winton Woods Intermediate. The instructor is Michelle Sneed, the mighty Michelle Sneed, and we're going to have prizes for attendance. We're going to have music there. Sometimes it'll be indoors, weather dependent. It may be outdoors. We're looking at doing some great things in Forest Park. We want to be aggressive. Our We Thrive group, we're very aggressive. We want to be aggressive about health and safety, battling obesity, battling chronic disease, and we want to be aggressive and having fun while doing it. So that'll just be the first step in a series of positive movement towards a healthier Forest Park. And other than that, that's all that I have. If you have any questions.
You have, these are Saturdays, 8:30 to 9:30, starting this Saturday,
Yes, sir. And it'll go through August 13th,
August 13th.
And
Okay.
where's the intermediate school?
825 Waycross Road.
Any other questions or comments on the boot camp for Chief Hill? Thank you, sir. We appreciate all
right.
your work and efforts. Next item on the agenda would be reports of standing committees, unless one of the other members of the audience have comments. None from you, Mr. Smith? Reports of standing committees. The first standing committee is Public Improvements and Facilities. Mr. Southall.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I do not have a report for public improvement tonight, sir.
Mr. Southall, at this point, I have no items on the agenda for you. Do you have any to add?
Not at this time, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next committee report is Public Safety Committee, Councilwoman Cottle.
I don't have a report for that, but I would like everyone to know that Forest Park Chamber of Commerce golf outing will be Wednesday, July 20th, and we have quite a few sponsors for this. The nice thing is these sponsorships are a great way to promote your company as well as support our scholarship grant opportunities for Winton Woods High School students and Forest Park Chamber of Commerce member graduating children and Forest Park business members to further their education. And there's a a short application that the student will fill out, and then that goes before the chamber board, and they can get up to like $2,000 in that. So we encourage those applications so that we can provide those scholarships. Thank you.
Any questions for Councilwoman Cottle? Hearing none, Councilwoman Cottle, I have no items on the agenda for you for the work session on the 13th. Do you have any to add?
No, thank you, Mayor.
Next, committee reports, Ways and Means Committee, Councilwoman Herbie.
Yes, I have no report, but I wanted to commend our Public Works Department. I live in that area over on the east side of town near Northland Boulevard and Sharon Road, and the Public Works Department does a tremendous job in leveraging the money that it has to get outside funds to do repaving of some of the major thoroughfares in our community. And if you've been down Sharon Road, you know what a wonderful difference that has made in the last week or so. But they do a very, very good job, and we commend them also for their work with the Chipper Chipper. They're wildly popular Chipper Chipper program. They do a wonderful job in winter of cleaning our streets, and I just want to give a shout out to the good work that they do. Thank you.
Any questions for Councilwoman Herbie? Hearing none, Councilwoman Herbie, I have no items on the agenda for Ways and Means for the 13th. Do you have any to add?
No.
Next committee report is Community Development. Mr. Burns.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have no report for community development. However, I would like to acknowledge the recent graduates of Winton Woods High School. That graduation took place, I think, a week ago. And just from driving down the road, you can see there was over $6 million in scholarships awarded to our graduates this year. So great job by them and the staff of the school district. Thank you.
Any questions for Mr. Burns? Hearing none, Mr. Burns, I have no items listed on the agenda for you. Do you have any to add?
Thank you, I do not.
Next report is Law Committee, Councilwoman Collins.
I have no report from the Law Committee at this time, but I do plan to have an update by the next work session pertaining to the Lemon Tree traffic issues.
Any questions for Councilwoman Collins? Hearing none. Councilwoman Collins, I have no items on the agenda for you for the meeting on the 13th. Do you have any to add?
No.
Next item on the agenda for committee report is Human Resources, Councilwoman Holt.
I do not have a report on human resources. However, this weekend, this Friday, the yard judging contest starts, which will be this Saturday, June 11th. I think it starts around noon. So to our residents, you too, Mr. Smith, get your yards in order, plant your flowers. Hopefully they're already in the ground and have taken root. It's been a little rainy, but the judging will happen this weekend, June the 11th. With that, it would conclude my report. Thank you.
Any questions for Councilwoman Holt? Hearing none. Councilwoman Holt, I have no items on the agenda for you. Do you have any to add?
No, I do not. Thank you.
Next committee report is Intergovernmental Communications and Relations. That's my committee. In way of reporting, I would just like to re-announce that the mayor's court have gone to a meeting like every other week instead of every week. They've done a tremendous job into getting that whole court situation in order, and along with the tax department, we've been able to clear up almost all, a lot of the backlog that we had before. So it's working real well, so well that at this point we don't feel it's necessary to hold court every week now. Obviously, we always have the option of having a court if the dockets get to be overcrowded. That will conclude my report on that. I will answer any questions if there are any. The only item I have on the work session now for the 13th would be the scheduling of our summer recess. Moving on to the next item on the agenda would be the mayor's report. Just some items that I will report. First of all, on May 21st, the seniors had their annual spring fling dance at the senior center. Good time was had by all. It was a success as usual. There were over 110 people in attendance, including myself and Mr. Hodges. It has evolved a little bit. I believe the first one we had, the attire was more on the order of a cotillion or ball or prom, and we have gone from that to much more casual dress, and I think people appreciate the fact that it has gone in that direction. If you have ever been over on the Mondays or other days when they do have the line dancing and now on Wednesdays for the ballroom dances, it's a little easier to do many of the dances and for the ladies, I guess, in shoes that are not so high-heeled and are more flat. So we've gone in that direction, but again, it's a great activity, and I want to thank all those people who attended, as well as those people who worked so hard to make that event possible. Again, it was a very great event. Earlier that day, there was in Canner Park, one of the local sororities, the AKAs, Alpha Kappa Alphas, donated time and efforts and mulch to spread mulch around the trees, the bushes, and things over at Canner Park. There was much more mulch than I had anticipated that there being, and there were far more people than I had anticipated there being to show up. They did an outstanding job doing that. Then I guess there was a follow-up, I don't remember the date, Mr. Burns, exactly, where they had a ceremony where their pictures were taken. And on the day of the mulch, Mr. Burns was there, and I was there, and on the day of the celebration, Councilwoman Collins was also there. So we just want to let them know how much we appreciate their efforts to help them to keep and make Forest Park beautiful. This past Saturday, the Environmental Awareness Board of Directors held its annual paper shredding event. And again, this event was spearheaded by the same sorority, AKA's Alpha Kappa Alphas. It was to run from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. this Saturday. Obviously, we were all very concerned that it would rain us out, but because Wright has some very high connections up there, we were able to, I guess, what little rain there was started about 1:15, and it rained never really hard, but it only rained about 5 or 6 minutes, and then it stopped. Last year, we did 1,100 pounds of shredding of paper. This year, we did a total of 81 totes. Now, totes are those big dumpsters on wheels. They're about the size of maybe a little bit larger than the large Rumpke dumpsters, full of paper. And the total poundage we did this year was 14,500 pounds. So we exceeded last year's by some 3,500 pounds. Last year we had one truck. This year, and you have to know Wright to know that Wright's always looking to do better than he did the year before. So Wright ordered 2 trucks. And we needed 2 trucks. There was no way we could have gotten all of that in one truck. Next year, we're looking, of course, Wright's looking to do bigger and better. And we're looking to even, he's thinking about, and that's something that will be discussed, environmental. We're thinking about combining 2 of the activities into 2 days instead of having 4 activities over 4 days. Because what we're finding is a lot of the same people who bring stuff to all of the events are the same people. So he figured that we can do this and have 2 days instead of 4 days and use the other 2 days as backups in case of weather. So again, I want to thank the AKAs for doing this, for sponsoring this, as well as the Environmental Awareness Board of Directors and their members for their support in it. As far as the people from the Environmental Board that showed up, it was, of course, George Cummins, and then Wright and myself, as well as there were probably 12 to 14 of the sorority sisters there all the time. They rotated people in and out, but at any given time, there were at least a dozen of them there. Yes.
Wright actually had a 3rd truck on call. One of the other things is, I believe that it was also advertised countywide on the county's website, so that would account for, I think, some of the increase, and I'm sure that'll happen. I think he was talking about maybe doing this twice a year.
Well,
So that's another possibility, too.
It was combining 2.
Yeah.
And you're right. We did advertise it so that it was not just limited to residents of Forest Park. The only thing that we need to do next year to make sure we do is, and it's an honest, it's an understandable misconception. When you talk about shredding, a lot of people mistake shredding of the paper with recycling. So we had a couple of there was one pickup truck that was full. We had to turn them away because they had items in there that were not paper, and we're not doing recycling, we're shredding paper. So, and understand that you're talking about these trucks and their machines. We can't risk putting metal through these machines because of sparks. If there's a spark, then everything goes up in flames. So we have to try to make people understand that, this is shredding. This is not recycling. There's a big difference in the two. That would conclude my report, my mayor's report. I will answer any questions if there are any. Hearing none, we will go next to Mr. Hodges, the city manager's report.
Thank you. I'll report on 3 things. First, we're in the process of canceling the cleaning contract that we have for the senior center. We entered in this contract at the beginning of the year, but it just hasn't worked out. They're basically not fulfilling the contract arrangements, and we're moving quickly to cancel that contract and make alternative arrangements. Second, I want to report that staff is working on proposed legislation that would address what I would call, for lack of a better term, outdoor auto racing. It may morph into a better title than that. But we've had a group that has basically contracted with the mall to set up a course whereby you can pay a fee and race maybe a Ferrari or go through a course at least with some of these expensive vehicles. Well, the problem is there's been maybe 3 different organizations, so it's not the same organization, but at least some of the time they've disturbed the neighbors over in Springdale. That's the essence of it. And we really don't have legislation to fully address this. So to make a long story short, we're sensitive to the problem that it's caused for the Springdale residents. We haven't gotten real cooperation from the mall itself, and as we present legislation that would more specifically address this activity, we can explain and go into it further. but we are in the process of working on that, and we'll propose something to the council very soon. And then finally, I would report and basically thank our utility accounts specialist, Rebecca Brown. We've done a lot in terms of improving Northland Boulevard, as it was referenced a little earlier. And one of the things we've done is put out a number of new flower pots. And many people don't realize, but that was basically designed and kind of put together by our office associate. And although, her job is in the office and she doesn't know how to get out there, deal with the elements and everything else, she was very gracious in doing it, and we've gotten a lot of compliments on that. But I just thought it was important to point out to the public that that's the result of the teamwork of the organization that we were able to get that done. It's something new this year, but we're very thankful for it. And again, we've gotten a number of compliments, but they need to know who that spearhead was on that particular aspect of the project. So that will conclude my report, but I would respond to any questions if there are any.
Any questions for the city manager? Hearing none, we'll go to item 8, other reports. Our law director's not here, so we'll go to item B, clerk of council, Mrs. Huffman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to report that resolution numbers 19-2016 and 20-2016 were posted as required. And that concludes my report.
Any questions for clerk of council? Hearing none, thank you, Mrs. Huffman. That would conclude the bid. There's no new business, so if there are any other items that come before council in terms of the regular council meeting at this time? If not, we will go then back to the work session, the last work session item, which was coaching for life. Councilman Southall.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.